Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to SparkDrive. And it looks like I'm switching my Hyundai Ioniq 5 for a Tesla Model Y. Let's talk about it. So about last week, Tesla dropped the prices on their Tesla Model Y and their Model 3 to be eligible for the federal tax credit that has no limit. And I actually have made a video discussing the federal tax credit, which vehicles are eligible, and I'll leave that in the description below, or you could click on the I at the end of the video and go check that out. But it looks like I'm going to be switching over from Hyundai to Tesla, and there's a few reasons behind this, which we'll get into in a bit, but the main thing is that two criteria have to be met for me to make the switch. Now, the first thing is delivery time. The delivery says on the Tesla app that it will come between January and March, which of course it's not coming in January. So I'm hoping it comes in February, if not March. But if it comes after March, it would no longer be eligible for the federal tax credit. But it may be eligible. We don't know what their rules are just yet, as they haven't released them. But that's one of the criteria that I would probably end up not switching and keeping my car, because losing out on the extra $7,500 makes the switch a little undesirable for me. The second criteria is the trade-in value of my vehicle. So I know it's a new car. I drove it for about 8 months and 6,000 miles. So I'm obviously not going to get the $48,000 that I paid for the MSRP, but I'm hoping to get at least 42, 43. Tesla has given me a range of 43,000 to 47,000, and I read online that they come in the middle typically, but then I've also read online that they lowball you and go like several thousand below the low range that they give you, which I'm hoping is not the case, because if that's the case, then I would really want to get my non-refundable order fee back somehow, because I feel like that's deceptive and they should really make their estimated trade-in fairly accurate. And I do have the option to upload pictures onto the Tesla app and get my actual appraisal, but it looks like it's only valid for 30 days, so I don't want to do that without getting an official delivery date, because if I do that now, it's only valid till the end of February. So those are the two main criteria. I'm really hoping for those two things to work out, because getting the Model Y for me would really work out. And the main reason is the Hyundai Ioniq 5 does not have a heat pump for rear-wheel drive. At least the 2022 models don't. And that's a little problematic, because if I ever wanted to move into a climate that was a little colder, then if I ever wanted to do a road trip or anything like that, it would be literally impossible. And so I have tried to charge at Electrify America, drive about 10 or 15 minutes there, charge, but I get a charging rate of about 40 kilowatts, and it's about 50 or 55 degrees outside. And then after 20 or so, maybe 30 minutes of charging, it jumps to 90. And I really don't want to be sitting at a charger all the time just because I don't have a heat pump and I can't precondition my battery. So that's like one of the top reasons, but there's more to go along with that. Having all-wheel drive would also just be nice. If they give me a good credit for my car in the middle of that range that I mentioned before, then I would actually be paying no extra money out of pocket for the Model Y, and that would be beneficial. So yeah, heat pump, all-wheel drive, and the next thing, which you all probably know, is the charging network. The Tesla supercharging network is really good, really reliable, and it gives you a lot more information on that center screen than, for example, other applications like ChargePoint or Electrify America. Because Electrify America, you could go to a charger, it says 4 of them are working, but 2 of them are working. Or in my experience, only 1 has worked and there's 3 cars waiting there. So it's an unknown factor with the charging network as well. And obviously that'll get better throughout the year, so that's not a huge thing, but obviously it's on my pros and cons list of switching to the Model Y. Next thing, we got Sentry mode. So I'm always paranoid that something's going to happen to my car when it's parked, or even while I'm driving. But when I'm driving, I have a front and rear dash cam, so that's not too much of a problem. But when it's parked and I, go somewhere, have it in a parking garage, if someone were to hit it, just leave. Sentry mode is the bonus. It's not really a necessity. It's just nice to have. And, the next thing is better autopilot. So Hyundai does come with their highway driving assist. It works really well, but sometimes it's like really finicky, and it will, it's very sensitive. So like if a line disappears or if there's a construction zone, it just goes haywire. I drove my friend's Model Y and it works perfectly fine on local roads as well. And even construction zones, it has a better software behind it to do the self-driving capability. The last thing I have on my list here is the sound system. The base sound system on the Ioniq 5 is horrible for a $50,000 car because it only has 4-door speakers. And I don't understand why this was the case when they were designing the car. I know they had to cut costs somewhere, but it's just really bad. My door actually ends up vibrating, and it kind of just kills the whole, cabin experience with no road noise and whatnot. Because if the music's off, it's perfectly fine. You can't hear the road noise or when you go over bumps and stuff like that. But if you're gonna be, driving around like me, and I always have music going, or, always have music playing other than when I'm on the phone with someone. And the thing with that is, if I'm not getting good, audio quality, it's not the worst thing, but it's just a nice thing to have proper speakers. The Tesla has their 14-speaker sound system with the sub, so 15 speakers total. And I've heard it. I went to the Tesla showroom last week, and it sounded amazing. It did need to get EQ'd. If it's flat, it doesn't sound that good. But once it's EQ'd properly, it sounds amazing. Let's get into the cons. There's not really much other than the fact of, potentially losing money on my current car, which hopefully is not the case. And then waiting for the car are my two cons of switching. And of course, there's always build quality. I did make the video on taking delivery of a 2023 Model Y several weeks back. And we did find a few problems, and Tesla did actually go back, and my friend made a service appointment. He went in, I believe last time I talked to him, they fixed the issues. It wasn't really that much of an issue. And so he's driving the car. I think he's drove it like 4,000 miles now in the last several weeks. Works great. So I'm not really too worried about any potential quality issues because I know they'll fix it. And obviously every car comes with, every cars have lemons. And I've been reading a lot on Reddit that some of these cars actually, some of them have a roof leak when it's raining, or some of them will just die after a few hundred miles and the motor will go out or the brakes will go out or something. Not every manufacturer is free from this, so they do deliver a lot more Model 3s, Model Ys than, for example, Hyundai does their Ioniq 5s. So there's going to be a lot more issues with a lot more cars going out, so I perfectly get that. And, that's really my pros and cons list of switching to the Model Y. The pros outweigh the cons, in my opinion, as long as I'm not, losing half my value on my Ioniq 5. So I do want to hear your thoughts below in the comments. If you are doing what I'm doing, if you're a current owner, are you going for the Tesla? Did you have the Ioniq 5 in mind when the tax credit was a thing last year? And did you happen to switch up? Did you go to Tesla now because they're cheaper, with the federal tax credit and the discount? Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Definitely check out my other videos. Leave a like, subscribe. It supports us. Hope you guys enjoyed this little rant of me, kind of just what I've been doing this last week is going back and forth on the pros and cons of this car. But Tesla has my $250. My order's in, and all we can do is wait. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.